What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to Tuffy Talk, episode 14. On today's episode, we will be kind of talking a little bit, just a little bit about kind of our thoughts about the spring game. And then we will also too be interviewing Matt Days, former running back with NC State. So with that being said, let's not wait a second longer. Let's get this thing started. What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning in. Episode 14 of Tuffy Talk here. Leighton Smith here with Macon Adams. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Please make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to us by hitting the button in the bottom right-hand corner. Please like this video and check out our other content. And please make sure, if you haven't already followed us on Twitter and Instagram, please follow us, BAM, at Tuffy Talk now. And also make sure, too, if you guys want any Tuffy Talk hats, please make sure to direct message us on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that. So with that being said, Macon, as again, we're going to be kind of talking about our thoughts of the spring game. And so I'll kind of hand it off to you first in terms of our initial thoughts, really.
Yeah. So the most general takeaway for me was it was really good to see some football in Carter Finley Stadium again. I thought a win for State would have gone a long way for their season, but sadly we also lost that game too. I don't know how that works. But in all seriousness, it was really fun to see that. I recorded the game too, so I've watched that a few times back already, just because I didn't miss anything. And you know, when I watch the spring game, because you're playing individual players, really what I'm looking for, which I think a lot of people are, is seeing players maybe they haven't noticed before, if anybody's made any jumps or anybody's really catching your eye this season. Mm-hmm. And I think as far as the players that I have seen before, we know Leary, we know Devin Carter had that one really nice catch. Mm-hmm. We know Thayer Thomas had a few really nice catches. Jordan Houston ran the ball really well. You saw guys that on defense that still look pretty good as well. But I tell you, for me, a few guys that I thought I had not really noticed them play, and like when you look at the stats too, they made some really good plays. Were one, I would say for me, honestly, first guy I thought of was Delbert Mims. That guy, as a running back, I had not seen him before, and I actually saw him at the red and white shop when he was on his recruiting visit to State. I remember thinking how big that dude was. He was about my height, but he was just really big. And seeing him run the ball on the field, I was like, wow, there's something there with him. Mm-hmm. And State could really use that, like a bruising kind of back that had really good vision to make some cuts. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really good. I thought Porter Rooks seemed to have taken I won't say a step, because he made some really nice catches. I would say in particular, he had that catch at Virginia last season was really good. That 58-yard catch, I know Leary made a really good throw, but that route he ran to get away from those two defenders and then break away from the rest was really nice. Mm-hmm. Carter, crisp, yeah. And then defense, actually, I'm going to say one thing on offense. I thought Julian Gray, the freshman wide receiver, made a few really nice plays. I know people probably don't know who he is, but at least a lot of people do. But that guy, I think he's wearing number 20 in the white team. He made some really nice plays. He had a reverse that was given to him. He had a nice in route where he took it about 5 yards and cut in, caught the ball, and then took it another 15. He's going to be known for his speed and his ability to really make plays. And I just know that a lot of people thought he was maybe the most underrated receiver or player overall we had got in the last class. But then on defense, you had guys like Caden Fordham, the linebacker who had the pick six. You had Jordan Poole, the other linebacker. Again, these are all true freshman players. Jordan Poole had that forced fumble against Houston, and that was a really nice play. I don't know if it's Derek Pitts. I think it's how I pronounce it. Derek Pitts started at corner for the red team. He's a transfer from Marshall. He looks solid. It was really really interesting spring game this year than most because there's a lot of guys that I was like, I don't remember noticing this many new players. I was like, man, that's a really good play they just made.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you think, Leighton?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, just kind of building off. So yeah, I mean, offensively, I mean, I would definitely first of all say, I mean, Leary looked. You kind of saw both sides. You kind of saw he was still kind of working through some rust a little bit. Again, he's been off for a while. Just back first game back from injury. So you did see some of those amazing throws, like you said, but you did see some rust. Like he did throw an interception and all
Right.
jazz. But again, I mean, that'll work itself out eventually. And then yeah, I mean, from the offensive side, yeah, I mean, just the biggest thing that really stood out to me was just the depth for the whole team. But I mean,
Yep.
offensively, again, just seeing Devin Carter really start to look almost elite level. And then you got a Mecca, you got Thayer, who you can always know and trust too well. You got CJ, who you can hope that will kind of work back to his senior role this year. And just like you said, like guys like Julian Gray, Keon Lassane seems to be getting a lot of snaps as well. So it's like, man, like the depth is unreal. And then, I mean, running back, you got Bam, you got Ricky, you got Houston, and I mean, Mims look good too. So you got a lot there as well.
I'll say this
So
too. One thing I had not added, even I didn't even touch on the defensive line or the offensive line. I know that on offensive line there was a guard named Sean Hill. I think he played pretty well during the game. That was a nice depth piece I noticed. And then, and I think it's on the defense. You got Savion Jackson at defensive end, and he had a really nice stat line for the spring game. If you guys go back and look at it, it was really good. CJ Clark starting at defensive tackle. Davin Van had another has had some nice plays too. You know, just a lot of pieces there. A lot of young guys that are seeming to take the next step. Um, when you've got guys like, and then on the sideline, there's got Peyton Wilson over there. I'm trying to think who sat out the rest of the game, who played this game besides the running backs.
Drake Thomas didn't play.
Drake, yep, forgot Drake.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of starters that didn't play. But I mean, because the biggest thing, which I was kind of looking to see if we could get an answer to, which I don't think we really did during the spring game, which I think it eventually will because we have so much depth, is on the offensive line. Replacing Joe
Right.
Skolthorpe on the starting lineup is going to be a big hole to fill. I know that you feel pretty strong in terms of having uh Icky, having Dylan McMahon, having Grant, and then having Tyrone Riley on the other side. But who's going to be that other guard? To really step in there. You look at like Bryson Spees. Anthony Delta. I know that he's usually more of an offensive tackle, but so that's kind of the biggest thing going into the real offseason that we kind of looked. But honestly, it's the greatest thing because that's honestly the only real worry I have. I mean, really. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't think of any other
it's
worries
really
really.
it's offensive line depth and then
Hmm.
penalties, injuries right now for our depth.
Injuries, period. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing I will say I think one area of the team I think is going to take a big step forward. If you had to pick one unit that's going to maybe make the biggest jump, I think it actually might be our defensive backs.
Hmm.
I think the addition they got it's going to be underrated with I mentioned Derek Pitts. He is a guy who apparently has already come in and really impressed. I mean, really impressed. In fact, to the point where he was the starter on the first team,
Right.
and he just transferred in
Hmm.
as a cornerback,
Yeah.
and he was opposite of Shaheem Battle. So then you got Cyrus Fagan, the transfer from Florida State. Um, he's a guy who I've also heard has been really, really impressive. He would probably be in the two deep on at safety. And then we didn't even get to see Corey Durden, who hasn't arrived to campus yet.
Hmm.
So it really is, in my opinion, on the offensive line, where's the depth at? But they can all play.
Hmm.
At least the starters can, and like maybe a few a few two deep players. I really think this is a really. I won't say this is our year at all,
No.
but I
Never
I
say that.
really never say that, but there's a lot there to be promising this season. I mean,
For sure.
there's not a lot of glaring weaknesses for this squad. Maybe nothing. I mean, they're not all elite,
No.
but they're all solid and pretty good relative to the ACC in each unit.
Well, and kind of, kind of wrap it up. I mean, the biggest thing, that I would definitely say as well is, obviously Ben Finley, I know he kind of got rolled at one point, to see him fight through that and really still make some plays, even with basically like second and third string guys, really impressed me a lot. I think he's going to be a great backup for us. And then, Aaron McLaughlin again, I mean, let's just hold off on any kind of judgment until
Yeah,
he
he's
gets
a
more time to
quarterback,
develop.
and it's overwhelming right now, learning everything.
Exactly. And then the last positive, which I will say, is that Tanner Ingle did not get thrown out of the game. So I'm very happy
Yeah,
about that.
that dude.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah. So definitely hope that that can stay that way heading into next season. So, with that being said, guys, we'll head right into our interview with Matt Davis. Hope you all enjoy. All right, Wolfpack Nation. So now we're joined by former running back Matt Days. Matt, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So just wanted to kind of start off, I mean, by just asking, I know that, maybe a lot of State fans, don't really know kind of what's going on with you right now. I know that you're engaged right now, which congratulations on that.
Appreciate that.
So, but just wanted to kind of give like an insight. I mean, like, where are you at? What are you doing these days? What's been going on with you recently, really?
So after I was released from the Saints, back in what year was that? 2019.
Yep.
I was released in September. So I was training all the way through December, hoping to get picked back up. Unfortunately, didn't get picked back up. Decided just to move on from the game. I know a lot of guys keep trying and with hopes of getting back into the league. But, for me, I personally didn't love football like that, to continue to try like that. So once January came around and no one picked me back up, I knew it was time for me to move on. I wasn't going to keep on holding on to the dream of playing forever. So took a sales job down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Loving it so far. Just bought a house with my fiance, so everything is great. Can't complain. The NFL gave me some great opportunities, met some great people. Gave me a great head start on life, so I can't complain. So, I mean, even though I'm not playing anymore, I'm still living a good life right now, so I can't complain.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And I mean, is there any interest at all in maybe ever like picking up coaching or anything like that?
So no, not really.
Okay.
Maybe when I have kids, I'll probably start coaching little league at that point. But seeing what my high school head coach went through and the stress of being a coach and stuff, I don't know. That's something I can deal with. So maybe when I have kids, that's something I might be interested in getting into. So
yeah, that sounds pretty mature for someone to be able to say, as much as I know State fans admired you as a football player and were watching you going in the pros and trying to get through that, to be able to say, what, I've been blessed enough to kind of
exactly
see this, that I don't need it, and it just for me, it's just not, I love the game, but just I can go a different direction in life. That's pretty mature in my opinion.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. I mean, ever since high school playing, like I had a really tough high school head coach, and it was more business-like at that point. So the love for the game kind of started to fade away in high school just because of how, the stress of it and it being so business-like. I kind of lost love for the game for a little bit. Got in college. It was fun, but it was still more business-like. And then getting into NFL, it was just strictly business. So at that point, the love for the game kind of just faded. And, I just didn't think it was time for me to just keep on trying. Even though I love the game and it gave me a lot, it was time to move on. So
yeah,
good. And and because speaking of too with high school, so I mean, I know that you definitely had an interesting recruiting trail. Where you were dealing a lot with NC State and Vanderbilt, but also too like talking like UCF and some others. So I mean, it does sound like maybe there was a lot of stress there. That was definitely a tough process for you, for sure. And especially in the process, I know that State was actually a pretty high on your list when O'Brien was there, but then when the Coach Doran came in, I'm sure that was a huge kind of wrench in that as well. So I mean, kind of one of the biggest questions I wanted to ask is, I mean, how much of an impact did the coaching change make for Doran? Then did Kitching staying on make a big difference at all?
O'Brien's staff, they recruited me and I committed to them. when I went on the visit over the summer. Once they got fired, Coach Dorn, they came in, got rid of a lot of the guys. Coach Kitchen stayed on staff, so which was my running back coach, and I was still interested in going there. But I don't know, for some reason, I was kind of told that Dorn didn't really want me or something like that. So I kind of opened up the recruiting a little bit, and I met with Vanderbilt. I was going to commit to Vanderbilt. Unfortunately, everyone was on. Not unfortunately, I'm glad I went to state. But I wanted to commit to Vanderbilt because of the whole Dorn situation, and I never got a chance to talk to him or anything. Like, he talked to everyone else. He talked to Jared Fernandez. He never spoke with me. So I was under the assumption that he didn't want me. So I opened the recruiting back up. I wanted to commit to Vanderbilt. They all were on staff. I mean, on airplane rides, so I couldn't commit to them. So I took some more time to think about it. Talked to Coach Kitchens. He said they want me now, or whatever the case was. I guess after my state championship game, they saw that and they were fully on board with me. So I wasn't going to commit to Vanderbilt, but they were all on plane rides. So I took some time to think about it, and then committed to state a few days after that. So it was just a weird situation. So
wow, yeah, that does sound really unique.
Yeah, no one really knew anything about that, but But I was in contact with Jared Fernandez and Marquez Valdez. He was the receiver and Jared was the linebacker. We're all from Florida, so we kept in touch before we went to state. Told me Dorn called them and everything was good. Never received a phone call from Dorn. So that's where that situation was, and turned out for the best though. So
absolutely. Yeah, I know. I know that. Dorn. Obviously, you did a lot for us during your time at state. So, definitely, I think Dorn would agree to you. He was thrilled that you decided to come to state. So that's awesome. And because one of the things too, Matt, because I know that I actually worked with you as a football equipment manager for the running back side, and so I got to work a lot with Kitching. So I wanted to kind of get your input because it is fascinating to me how Kitchings has recently gone through two different head coaching changes. One at NC State, where he got transitioned from O'Brien to Doran, still stayed on staff, and then when he went to South Carolina, he went from Muschamp to Beamer and stayed on staff. So I feel like that's a rare thing. I know I was actually saying when Muschamp got let go that, oh man, like it's gonna be tough, I would say, for him to stay on, but for him to stay on, I feel like that speaks a lot of him as a coach. So
he's a great coach, man. Like, and even a better person. Like, he connects with the players so well. Like, any player that you speak with about him, he's just done so much for them. Besides from my high school head coach, like Coach Kitchens was my favorite coach I've ever had. So I owe him a lot. And me and him had some struggles in my first year at NC State, but it turns out to be for the better. So I really appreciate everything he's done for me. So he's a great coach, and it speaks volume that all these teams kept him on staff, even with the coaching changes. So
yeah, that's cool. So you mentioned how that was a kind of a tough decision, a little bit going into committing to state. And again, like you said, you sound like a mature guy with having your priorities straight even now. When you were going into state, like I imagine, obviously, with Vanderbilt particularly being one of your options, that academics was a big one. And was big for you. But I think more broadly, for like goals you had going into college, did you have any, like, what were some goals you had going into college? Whether it be get a degree, win a championship, or anything more, or maybe not those. And then did you feel like you met those goals once you graduated?
So I never really had any academic goals, I would say. I was always been a good student since middle school and high school. Had pretty good GPAs. But I never really had high academic goals. I just wanted to play in the SEC when I went to Vanderbilt and just prove everyone wrong that I can play with the top guys, being that everyone thinks that the SEC is like the top conference out there. So that was my main focus of wanting to go to Vanderbilt. I knew they had a good academic program. So I thought that would be able to set me up for life. I know that they have a broad network of alumni there. So that was another reason why I wanted to go to Vanderbilt, but took an official visit there and stuff. So didn't feel like it was the place for me, but I wanted to go because of Coach Franklin, who was there. He was an awesome recruiter when he came into my house. So he was another big reason why I wanted to go there and play for a head coach like that. Fortunately, I made the right decision because after I went to state, he left the following year from Vanderbilt. So I'm glad I made the right decision. So,
and kind of jumping into your time at state, obviously, I think a lot of state fans could think back and think of some pretty big moments or pretty big games that you were a part of. And, like, for example, like the Georgia Southern, touchdown pass to take the lead. That was a huge moment. The UNC fourth down run that you had was sick. And then, obviously watching you run in the Notre Dame game. I mean, I know for me, I've said multiple different times that was my favorite game that I've ever been a part of. It was just so unique. So, if you could possibly pick one moment during your career that really just stands out of like, man, I was so glad to, have, to be able to have that moment, is there one that you could possibly pick, to kind of label as that?
Honestly, my most favorite game would have to be the Notre Dame game. Just the environment that we had to play in at that time in the storm and them being supposed to be like a really good team. Just for us to beat them the way that we did, even though it was raining and stuff, it was just an amazing feeling. Like, I don't know if you ever, obviously you watch me play all the time. I never really get too excited in the game when I make a touchdown or anything like that. But that game, that game just meant a lot to me, and I was fired up. So
yeah,
that was definitely my most favorite game. Even though the numbers weren't all that good, but for us to go there and just run the ball on them like that was amazing. So.
Well, and because I do kind of want to ask if you felt like you slid more yards or ran more yards.
I definitely probably slid more yards. It was slippery out there, but
that's hilarious.
I had some good cleats on and stuff, so it was good.
Yeah. And then kind of taking a look back. I mean, obviously, you're one of the most accomplished state running backs in history. You're ranked fourth in career rushing yards, sixth in rushing yards in a single season, sixth in rushing yards in a single game. So, is there a certain achievement out of all those that you're the most proud of, at your time with your time in NC State?
Honestly, I didn't even know where I stood stat wise.
Well, you were really good, so just know that.
I really don't know where I stood stat wise. Do you have my passing stats up there, like receiving stats, or no?
Yeah. So all right. So you ranked. So you had 200. You had 2,856 career rushing yards. You had 1,166 rushing yards in your senior season. You had 205 rushing yards in one game. But then receiving wise, you had 937 receiving yards. So and then the highest you had was your sophomore year. You had 321 receiving yards in one season.
So I think that year I was most proud of my stats because I think I was like one of like 5 players to ever have 300 yards receiving, 600 yards or 300 yards rushing or something like that, and kickoff return or something like that. That's something I was definitely proud of. So I wish I would have caught the ball more out of the backfield and stuff, but I think that was my main strength of playing running back. I was able to catch the ball well and run routes as good as receivers. So I think that was one of my major attributes to my game. Wish I was able to do that more, but
sure.
I had a good career, I assume.
Yeah. I would totally agree. I thought when I watched your game, I just thought of Matt Days as like an all-purpose back. He can run it, he can catch it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So, I know one of the interesting moments that had to be in your lifetime was I know that when in the 2017 draft you got drafted in the 7th round. You were actually the next to last pick in the draft, and so I did really kind of want to hear this story of like where were you when you got that call, and like what was the emotions like when you heard that you got drafted by the Browns?
So before the draft even started, I was just like the only teams that I wish that I didn't go to. It was Buffalo or the Browns.
That's hilarious.
So
Is it because of personnel or?
No, honestly, I didn't know anything about NFL personnel.
Okay.
It's just areas that I didn't think I would want to live in. Just
Okay.
heard not good things about Cleveland or living in Buffalo. So those are just two teams that I didn't want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Cleveland
whole
is
draft
legendary
process,
football, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I'm joking. I'm joking. I was like, Cleveland's legendarily good at football, man.
I actually love Cleveland, man. A lot of people tear Cleveland down, but I actually love that place, man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Absolutely. I agree.
Mhm.
But yeah, the whole draft process, man, it was brutal for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
I would never want to go through something like that because my agent is telling me that I'm going between rounds 3 and 5.
Oh man.
They had me listed as the number like 8th or 9th back or something like that. So I'm just hearing guys' names they're getting called, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a big party or anything like that. It was just me and my fiance at a hotel at the time near my house. Just I didn't want to be by anyone, just me and her. So the 3rd round comes around, and Connor goes, and my agent calls me. He says, any moment now you should be going. So what's the team? Baltimore calls me. They tell me that they picked 3 or 4 offensive linemen, and they're thinking about picking me. The running back coach told me that. I don't remember his name. So round 4 goes by. They drafted someone on defense. Round 5 goes by. My name still haven't been called. Baltimore picked up someone else on defense. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? 6th round comes around, and I'm just getting fed up, and I'm just getting upset. And then 7th round came, and I was at this point, I don't even want to get drafted. And I'm like just crying with my girlfriend, and I'm just so upset. And they drafted, some other team drafted some guy named Muhammad or something like that. That's when I lost it. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know what school he went to. And that's when I was just pissed off, and I didn't even want to get drafted at this point. And then Cleveland came around, and they called. They said they were going to draft me. Honestly, I wasn't really that happy, to be honest, but
yeah,
I'm glad it was over with and stuff. So I'm just telling you, man, the process was just it was brutal, man. It was the worst 2 days of my life. It was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of the other side of the story. You usually hear guys, I mean, I won't say usually, but you just kind of like, sometimes the draft doesn't go the way guys think it's going to go for them. So that's a really interesting take on how that went for you.
Exactly. No, I think what the Baltimore coach was doing, he was kind of trying to just like plant a seed in my head. So after the draft, that during free agency, that I would go to them. So he was kind of like playing a game with me. That's what I'm assuming, because
interesting.
He called me back during the 7th round, saying that no one picks him up. I should come to Baltimore. They're going to give me a higher signing bonus than anyone else or whatever. So I think they were just playing games with me from the beginning. So, but that was not a fun game to play with someone that earlier on in the round. So it sucked, but
no. But I mean, one of the kind of bright points of it is I actually still remember to this day actually watching the Browns game against the Steelers in 2017 when you actually made your debut, and you had 3 carries for 7 yards. You had 2 catches for 9 yards. I mean, again, not anything statistically great, but I mean, again, it was cool to see you touch the ball.
You made the NFL kind of
so
thing, yeah.
I mean, was it kind of a point of gratification of okay, here I am touching the ball, playing in the NFL. I mean, kind of getting at least a moment in time to say I'm playing in the NFL right now.
Yeah, for sure. The coaches, my rookie year, playing with the Browns. It was 3 other guys I was competing with, so I know I had to, step my game up a little bit because they're all vets already. But for some reason during camp, I was just balling, and the coaches loved me. So they started giving me more touches and stuff during preseason, and not just went off during preseason. So that was able to give me an opportunity to make the Browns team. Didn't get that much carries in the game, but they did trust in me to do kickoff returns for them. So that was pretty cool.
Good. Yeah. Awesome. Good. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you definitely kind of dealt, you got waived by the Browns, went to the 49ers, was on the practice squad for a while,
Yeah.
got pulled to the active roster, but then got waived and then went to the Saints to kind of finish out. I mean, any bright spots at all? I mean, with kind of going through those last two teams, like going from San Francisco on one side of the U.S. to New Orleans on the other side. I mean, I guess any bright spots during that time with either of those teams.
I'll probably say with the 49ers, I definitely didn't enjoy living out there, just being so far away from family and friends. So that part was terrible. The players I was in that locker room, the running backs that was on that team, they made my time there much more enjoyable. So I had a great bunch of guys in that locker room with the 49ers. So that was great. But the Saints definitely didn't enjoy my time there at all. The guys in the locker room were cool, but that was definitely wasn't a fun time. I was just ready to get out of there. So
yeah. Well, then let me shift this gear here. Then, Matt, I don't know how much have you been able to watch much of the team the last lately. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe you didn't get to watch a spring game, but would you be able to watch the team, the young guys now on the State's roster?
I think I watched just about every game last year. Didn't get to watch the spring game, but yeah, I definitely watched every game just to keep up and follow some of the guys that are on the team.
Yeah,
it's cool. So what do you think about the team? What do you think, particularly the running backs, but what do you think the team as a whole?
For the running backs, I like the two running backs that are on the team. Actually, three of them. I think the other one name is Penny.
Trent
Penix. Yeah. He's a quick little guy. I like him a lot. But the other two, can't even remember their names.
Person and Knight.
And Knight.
Yep.
Yeah. Those two guys. Those are two good two backs. I think they complement each other really well. One is more of a bruiser, kind of like how me and Shad was. One is sort of a bruiser, and the other one is kind of a slash guy. But they definitely complement each other well. I really like Bam. His game kind of reminds me of mine. That's why I take a liking to him a lot. But yeah, they're all great backs, and I think that group of guys are definitely going to have some success. I'm interested to see how the defense does this year. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the interesting things that has been coming up recently is I know that apparently they've been saying that Trent Penix they're actually going to possibly this year using more as like an H back, like kind of a J Sam role where you use him in a couple of different places, whether it's catching the ball, running the ball, whatever you name it. So obviously kind of using the name like J Sam, that's definitely sets the bar higher. Like, okay, I mean,
sure.
J Sam was a guy. So I mean, can you kind of speak a little bit in terms of maybe how big of a role J Sam had in terms of kind of helping you in terms of giving us another option to kind of touch the ball?
J Sam, I'll probably say J Sam. I mean, besides from playing quarterback, I think J Sam probably had the biggest role on the team. He just had a lot of information that he had to know from being a tight end, playing the H-back position, and also knowing what we did at running back as well as playing the receiver position. So I give him a lot of credit because that offense wasn't easy to learn. So I give him a lot of credit, and it's a lot to take on. And I think he did an awesome job at that. And obviously he's playing in the league right now with Pittsburgh. So obviously it played out well for him. So he's a great overall athlete. He can catch the ball, run the ball. He can block. So he's a total package. So someone to get that role, that shows that, they trust someone like Penix to do what J Sam did. And I think that's a big role and a lot to do. So hopefully he can do it. So
we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and I mean, so kind of wrapping up. So I mean, if you kind of had to take a look back, what if you were like, let's say, talking to an incoming freshman, into state, and they ask, hey Matt, do you have any advice for me, being a student athlete here at NC State? What would you kind of say to them?
Honestly, I wouldn't think they would want my advice because people go to college, to have fun and do what they have to do. My main goal when I came to college was strictly football. I got my grades. I had good grades. But my main focus was football. I never went out. I never did anything. Like I would be at the Murph at friggin' early in the morning before anyone else, and I will come back after class and watch film with Coach Kitchens or with the O line or something like that. So it wasn't really much time for fun. So, I mean, if guys want that type of advice on how strict my regimen was from a day-to-day basis, I don't think they would want that type of advice. But I think it paid off for me in the long run.
I would say so.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're talking about. There's like you don't necessarily expect guys to have the same standard you had of like
exactly
football is life kind of thing.
Exactly. So that's what I did. Do I regret doing that the way I did? I say a little bit. I probably could have enjoyed myself a little bit. But it got me to where I'm at right now in life, and I don't regret it, honestly. Right. But I know it was a tough time for me in college because I was strict with my diet and everything like that. So I don't know if guys want to go through that type of thing that I went through, but it was cool.
So one kind of fun question that we always love to ask, especially former football players, is if you had to pick one specific maybe uniform combination that you loved above the rest, even ones maybe that you've seen teams play even after you, is there one in particular? I mean, you was like, man, that's a sweet looking uniform right there.
I would definitely the black on black when I played.
Man, it's always the black ones.
or the military one, the gray ones.
Yeah,
those are awesome. They felt like they looked really good, but for some reason that material, like it felt good on my body, and like it just felt like I was free in it. Like the red and the white uniform, they're just so super tight on me. I don't know why, but it definitely wasn't the same material. So not only that they looked really awesome, but it felt really good.
Because when you say black on black, you're not saying the Louisville uniform that maybe a lot of players have said. You're talking the black uniform, the first black uniform. I think it was 2014 against Eastern Kentucky.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a sweet uniform. I know obviously a lot of uniforms these days are kind of moving towards the chrome, which is kind of like what that Louisville was. But I mean, kind of having like the wolf eyes in the back of the helmet. Definitely, if State fans don't remember it, definitely go check it out. It was a sweet uniform for the time. So
exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So thanks, Matt, again, and definitely hope to see you at some NC State games in the future. If you ever can make it back into Raleigh, hopefully definitely can see you back at the Carter sometime soon. Matt, just again, stay safe and best of luck to you in all the future. And you always got a home back here in Raleigh, my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
All right.
Good talking to you, Matt.
All right, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the interview with Matt Days. It was great speaking with him and really getting that kind of opposite side of the story that you don't always normally hear when it comes to going through the NFL draft and maybe even the recruiting side as well. So hope you all enjoyed it. So please make sure, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to us by hitting the button in the bottom right hand corner. Please follow us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram, and please like this video and check out our other content as well. And also to make sure, again, if you are interested at all in any Tuffy Talk casts, please make sure to direct message us on Twitter or Instagram. And with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, just stay safe. And as always, go Pack, y'all.